So, hi everybody. If you're there, we will start this live very soon with Eddie Stone from Touchstone Essentials. I am just making sure that we've got some audience members. We are live. I'm just going to wait until we get some audience members so we can start answering questions. So, Eddie is here, and this is a product that I think the last time you were on was maybe the end of 2020 or the start of 2021. So it's been over a year since I saw you, Eddie.
Yeah, that's what my notes say. Yeah.
Yeah. And I got, you were so kind to come back because I know you're a very busy person. And I've actually got, so I'm just waiting for everybody it's not showing anyone up yet. So here we go. They're just starting to come on now. So we are going to do a really amazing Q&A today to answer some questions for most of our viewers who already are familiar with this product, which is the Pure Body Extra. If you can see that there, Pure Body Extra. And this is a Zeolite. It's a nano form. Is it a spray? Can you explain to us what this is and why we need it in our life? Because I know for a lot of people, they are really worried about what's going on in the world at the moment with toxins, with what we are being bombarded with. And they are really concerned with how healthy they are and how they're going to move forward and survive this. Hi, everybody. It's just appeared for them. Hi, everyone. Hey, Yvette. Joelle, thank you for being here, Paris. And I just wanted you to explain to everybody about this product and what you're offering, because this is a really, really good offer. And I'm so grateful that you've done this for my audience members, because everybody keeps asking me about it. And I'm so glad you're here. So please go ahead and tell us about the Pure Body Extra.
Sure. And let me give it just a little bit of background or a little bit of setup. So one, as a company, we recognize the role that lifestyle and choices can play in your health, right? You can sort of choose to eat healthy, not eat healthy, and those kinds of issues. And we would think your audience, we've come to respect who they are and just the intelligence of the questions they ask and things like that, right? And so we appreciate and know that from a lifestyle situation, they get it, right? Eat as little ultra processed food as you can. Eat as many whole fruits and vegetables as you possibly can, plenty of rest, sleep, water, manage stress. So all of those things are there. But what we believe is that if you really digest sort of the major health concerns in the world today, it's true that nutrition plays a real role in our vulnerability to degenerative diseases like cancer, cardiovascular disease, even diabetes. But sort of this hidden issue, and I kind of call it the dirty little secret of the modern world, is the role that toxins play in being very disruptive to how your body functions. And I'm talking about heavy metals like cadmium, lead, mercury, also volatile organics, things like hexavalent chromium, just a lot of materials that are used in manufacturing smartphones or non-stick cookware or whatever it happens to be, right? I mean, there's 100,000+ chemicals really never have been tested on humans, either short or long-term impact, that are a part of consumer goods that, we can't get away from, right? Because we can't live in a bubble, right? You can't live in a bubble. And unfortunately, in the last couple of years in Australia, you've experienced extraordinary wildfires. Well, a fair amount of Europe has, particularly Greece, in the United States, not just in California, which is something they have a bit of a reputation for, but really all through the West. And so that people don't realize that in these wildfires, what's atomized in the burning of natural material and non-natural material, right? There's lots of things that burn that's not natural are heavy metals like I'm describing. And they're so small, you can smell a fire, but you can't smell what's those heavy metals and things. And you're talking angstrom-sized particles that get into the body. They're disruptive to hormonal functions. There are people that are having trouble with weight control that don't even realize the role that heavy metals are playing, or they're having issues where we associate people having trouble in the spectrum, or whatever happens to be. It's just disruptive to how the body works and how it functions. And of course, we understand and respect the genius of the human body, there's a lot of pathways that human beings have to eliminate toxins. But in a modern world, we just don't think it's enough. There's just plenty of people walking around with a body burden that's playing a role in tearing down their health. They're not living the life to the fullest or the fullest that they can, and it accumulates over time. And some people manage these things better than others. But there's a lot of people out there with brain fog, and they can't sleep, and they're gaining weight they shouldn't, and they're vulnerable to everything that comes by, and whatever happens to be, and toxins play a role. So we really believe fundamentally it's important to consider that while I'm putting all the good stuff in, I got to take some bad stuff out. That's
right. Absolutely. I'm so glad you said that. And you were talking about the wildfires. We had them here where I live in the mountains. And I remember, I mean, we could smell, they were saying that there was toxic, there was, rubber tires being burned, or there was like also you could smell the toxicity, but you can't necessarily smell the heavy metals. You don't know what is actually being burned up. I mean, we're talking about houses, we're talking about all sorts of things are getting burned up. And so you talk about the detoxification pathways in the body. So how does this product, how does this clear it? How does this work with that? How does this product work with that? It tastes like water. So
yeah, it does.
Please explain to us how this can be so effective.
If people want to see what's in the water, there are some unbelievable photographs that we paid a university lab and an additional private lab to take, because it's smaller than the eye can see, right? I mean, you're talking about something that's nanosized. So that product is based upon using a natural zeolite. Zeolites may not be something people are familiar with, but it's a crystalline structure with a cage-like core, and that cage maintains natively or naturally a negative charge. Yeah, that's a representation. And so that negative charge is important because when you think about things like cadmium, lead, mercury, other particulates that fall into this category, they have a positive charge. And so in just real simple terms, when that zeolite with its negative charge comes in proximity to these heavy metals and other things that have positive charge, they really snap or bind together like you think of the north end and the south end of a magnet. And what's the genius of this gift from nature, because we mine this from nature. There are, of course, like everything else, right? There's synthetic man-made versions, but none of the safety data or research for humans or pets, which there's a lot of research out there. I think it's 300 plus pieces on PubMed are from the synthetic or the man-made, right? They're all from the naturally mined. And so when they bind together, because it's not an essential mineral, it processes out of the body. In most circumstances, it would be a 4 to 6 hour period, kind of based upon normal renal and bowel function. And so if you're thinking about detoxification, gosh, it's so simple and elegant. There's no contraindications. We don't have people calling us about acute reactions and things of this kind. It's well studied. It has GRAS status, which is the safety designation this would have in the US with the FDA. Many other countries have a similar sort of recognition. So we know a lot about it. We know it doesn't have a contraindication. I mean, just across the board, from children to senior adults, people successfully and safely use it. We've sold well over 1 million bottles of this in the past 10 years. I've personally worked with zeolites since 2005. I've been in this space for 30 years. I don't want to give fully away how old I am. I guess I should. I'm 58, right? And so you kind of
look amazing.
Well, thank you. I work hard at it.
Yeah.
And so when we mine this zeolite, we have a proprietary process where we prep it so that it's more effective in the body than it would be naturally. It's already compliant with Prop 65 rules out of California, out of the ground. So it's clean. Then we take those cages and we clean and prep them with a kind of a calcium mineral complex, magnesium and calcium, because we want that cage has to have something in it, but we don't want it to have a high affinity for it, right? And so then when it sees the heavy metal through cationic exchange, it gives up a calcium or a magnesium for the heavy metal or the volatile organic. Now, that's not to say there's a nutritional amount of calcium and magnesium. I don't want to give people that impression. It's just a part of the process. We mill it to a nano size, and then we use a special process, a proprietary process to trap that particle in a water cluster. And so when people see it, it's just phenomenal because being that small, it goes anywhere in your body that water goes, which means it's available to the entire cell structure of the body, the 100 trillion cells in your body, which is where toxins sequester. The body really doesn't know what to do with some of these toxins. And so it hides it in your bone, hides it in fat, hides it in the cells. We want to tease that stuff out of there. And that's really the strategy. And we must have close to 20,000 positive 5-star reviews and people just having phenomenal experiences. So we just love how it complements the genius of the body and how the body natively gets rid of toxins. It's just this tool for the body to use to help itself against this barrage of toxins that's representative of the modern world.
I love this, that you're saying that it's teasing it out of the body, because and the way it's able to penetrate all these different places in the body wherever there is water. Okay.
Right.
And so and it's a nano size. So I wanted you to tell, because I get this all the time. People say, well, I can just buy Zeolite from the pet store, or I can buy it from wherever, and I can just mix, and it's just a powder, and I could just mix it and take that. What's the difference between that type of zeolite? You literally just explained it, to this. This is completely, it's a nano size, different than the powdered form, obviously, correct?
Yeah,
Yes?
yeah. So there's three dynamics that aid or support a zeolite being effective. And the first one is sourcing. So if you look at the bondage structure, we're going to, kind of getting into the biochemistry of it. The man-made or synthetics that are out there, they have proper industrial applications, right? They're often used in automobile tires to disperse heat, or large industrial sites for cleanup, but their structure is weak and exposed by what's called weak acids of the stomach. And so those things, they may bind with something, but they could also break down in the gut, right? So number one, that's not where the safety data comes from. So one, stay away from the powdered synthetics, and they're all over things like Amazon. I mean, and they're so cheap. It can fool you, but it's fool's gold, because it doesn't matter how cheap it is if it breaks down and doesn't work in the body. Yeah. Number two is size. So generally speaking, there's always exceptions to rules, but generally speaking, when you think about biochemistry, things that are under 5 microns in size, 0.5 microns in size to 5, they're going to migrate out of the gut through the soft tissue into the bloodstream. So you want something that's small, but what's relative is how it is able to get to the cell, because what I just described will not get to the cell. So if you're buying something that's in a powdered form that you can manage, you can scoop it into a spoon, it doesn't blow away, then it's too large for you to try to manage and consume. It has to really be in a water base or something like that for you just to generally be able to manage it, right? So you can kind of think of something like a smaller than talc, right? And in this case, it's just sort of impossible from a human being standpoint to manage something in a powder form that small. Now you say, well, what if I put it into a capsule? The challenge is it's also not have a prepped cage. It's really critical, if you're trying to maximize this process, that scenario we have where we're flooding the cages with calcium and magnesium so that they're more prepared to give up that for those angstrom size heavy metals and other particles. And so at the end of the day, if you're buying a cheap powder, I tend to think of it as having a 1% to 2% effectiveness. Well, you'd have to take tablespoons of it on a daily basis. Wow. Most likely you'd be faced with constipation, and it's still an issue where there's other toxins that may be in that zeolite powder. So the one thing I tell people to do is, when you look at our site, we're very transparent with certificate of analysis, heavy metal testing, so you can see what's in that product. This is naturally mined out of the ground, depending upon the source. We mine from a very pristine site that's, basically got Prop 65 compliance out of the ground. And so, for my family, for my friends, and what I know about this space, I wouldn't do anything if I could only have the powder. There's too many risk factors that I think you face. Yeah.
So, I mean, that just clearly says it. Audience members who keep saying to me, can't I just buy the powdered form? Eddie's just explained in a very articulate way why this product, Pure Body Extra, is completely different. It's a nano-sized zeolite. It's available throughout the body. The other powdered forms are not going to reach where it needs to go. That's in layman's terms, that's basically it. In the chat and down below, I will share this link. This is only for 1 week. Okay. It was launched at midnight Eastern time, USA at midnight Eastern time. So that's about 17 hours ago. And you can get this Pure Body Extra, okay, from my special link here that they've set up from Touchstone Essentials. Get your first bottle for only $5, and it will explain everything, the studies and the different sort of questions that you have that Eddie is explaining here. He'll explain what it does in this link, okay? And you have the link up the top here. And when you go there, then you can put all your details in and order the product. There is some terms and conditions. Now, if you do this live is not going to be a really long live, but we're going to answer some questions. So one of the questions somebody asked in the chat was, how often can we take this? I mean, I know the answer to that. And I guess here's, so on the packaging, it says to take 4 sprays, typically 4 sprays. I think it's 3 times a day. Yeah. 4 sprays 3 times a day. Now that would be an adult dose. I do give this to my daughter who is 7 years old. Okay. And I give about half that. She's used to taking it. I would build up. Would you suggest that if it's, just started, would you build up to that amount so you don't get a big detox effect? I think the most important thing is to drink water, a lot of water to help. Yeah.
With anyone under, say, 50 to 60 pounds, I don't know what that translates there, but so anything under that, I would work up to it. But really the feedback we get, and at this point, so many people use the product, is it's pretty gentle on the system. Now there's always that person that's hypersensitive to anything, right? And I tell them to listen to their body and follow protocols they developed in life to just manage their sensitivities. But if you're really dealing with just sort of normal conditions, adults, you ought to be able to, that are over 70 pounds, use it straight away. And with kids, just be smart about that. Yeah.
Fantastic. Yeah. So obviously if you've got a very petite little child, you just, go by weight. That's how I do everything. I just go by weight. So you're going to take it. So that was the question. If anyone else has any questions about this, I was going to say about the water. So just making sure that people drink enough water to help flush out these toxins. So how does the zeolite sort of capture on a nano sort of level, capture the heavy metals in a little cage, and then it passes out through does it pass out through sweat, or does it just pass out through the digestive system? How does it come out of the body? How do the heavy metals get dumped out of the body with the zeolite?
You certainly could sweat it out, right? There's plenty of pathways with detoxification via sweat, but just under normal conditions, you would just think of the majority of it going out through your urine, but some could go through the bowel, and some definitely could go through wet. Now, when I think of it, if people want to try to develop a bit of an image in their mind, number one, think of a diamond, because it's a crystalline, reasonably clear, sometimes milky, crystalline structure. And the way they grow anytime, or the way they've grown, I should say, because it's not active, right? We're only harvesting things that are old, is through volcanic eruption. So lava flow or lava ash colliding with playa lake salt water, sort of that water with salinity to it, will grow these crystal structures. And we know a lot about them. They've been around a long time. The Chinese used zeolites for helping people in clay eating societies, if you've heard of, fighting with dysentery and other dynamics like that. And so it's been around a long time. So we know a lot in that regard. If you can envision a diamond, but now think of that diamond kind of like Swiss cheese. And these little, if you really get microscopic with it, there's these little tunnels and channels, and they've got the negative charge. And so there's 2 means with which the mechanisms work. One is it'll take into those cages, the positive and the negative will bind, but then there's the external, almost like a snowball that rolls down a hill, right? And gathers things on its surface. And so there's and we kind of call that the sweeping effect. And so it's quite interesting and fascinating to study. And it's just speaks to sort of the marvels of nature and the human body. And if we pay enough attention, if we're curious enough, those things we can find to help us live.
Wow, I'm visualizing exactly what you said. So this is just like this little machine sort of that goes through, and it's things are going in it and getting attracted inside of it, and it's accumulating on the outside, and it's sweeping through the system. Somebody asked, how long before we see, before it takes effect? How long before we start to see some kind of results? I can answer one of those questions. And I know you can't make any medical claims, but my daughter has autism. And I remember when we first started giving it to her regularly, I gave it to her for 2 weeks. Within 2 weeks, her speech therapist and I both noticed that her speech was improved. So there was and I had another testimonial from a couple of parents in my audience who said the same thing with their own children, that they had speech dyspraxia, and then they saw improvement within a month of using the pure body extra. That's the typical sort of feedback we're getting. I guess if you're a person with pretty good health, and you don't see, you're not really got any ailments, there might not be as noticeable as someone with something very obvious, correct?
Yeah, so that's true, right? The better your health, the more this is something you're going to do for maintenance and just reducing your risk of the damages that heavy metals and pollutants can have on your DNA, right? Which ultimately can make you more vulnerable to all types of diseases. The way I think about it, just sort of how we've seen it over time. One, really in the early stages, what most people would feel would be an improved level of energy or concentration, because they don't really know until it happens, right? That disruptive role that these metals are playing and other toxins are playing in how the mitochondria produces ATP, right? The little engine in your body that makes it all work is the components in the mitochondria that produce energy, and they can be knocked off track lots of ways, including with toxins. So when you sort of lift that body burden, those guys are going to work, or those cell structures are going to work more effectively. I think about it like almost like an automobile in simple terms. If you've got an automobile that you just hadn't maintained, you hadn't changed the filters and the oil or anything, and it needs a tune up, it runs bad. But man, you can take an old car and tune it up and change the filters. It runs great. It feels like brand new, right? And so this type of dynamic is there. The other side of this is, it's not that this product or detoxification is going to cure or treat or mitigate disease. And that's not even really the point. What it's going to do is, by freeing your body up so that your central nervous system, your gut brain, your immune system, your respiratory system can work more effectively. Now the body can start to heal itself. It can do its job because we've gotten these other artificial synthetic materials, man-made materials out of the system to the degree that we can. And so over time, really the function of the body should just continue to improve. And so you got to give credit to the body, how it works, right? All we're doing is taking the gunk out so the body can do its thing. And that's what we get excited about. So it's not that it cures or treats, it's just what it allows the body to properly function and do.
Wow, that's fantastic. That explains exactly, and this is why you can't just make medical claims, because everything goes sort of hand in hand with other things. It's not just a one cure sort of thing. I don't know how else to explain it other than it's not just the cure all. You're actually allowing the body to step out of its own way, I guess. So, to do what it naturally does. Basically, that's what we're doing. There was something that I was going to say. One of the things that some people don't realize that heavy metals affects is your sense of smell. So sometimes your sense of smell and sense of taste and things like that, you might have a load of heavy metals in the brain and that part of the brain, and you won't be able to. I know that that's related to things like Alzheimer's, etc. That sense of
you can just think of taste. People that smoke cigarettes, right? And that toxic load, how it impacts their sense of smell and taste, right? And over time, there are plenty of tests and research, right? Double-blind, crossover blind, that just show they just cannot any longer over a long period of time taste and sense things as they once did, right? And it's directly coming from, the toxins that are there. sort of dumbing down how their body reacts. And so that's a kind of a direct way to sort of think about when you start pulling that stuff out, things improve.
Okay. Wow. So I've got a special for you guys. If you get this, so there's a link. I've pinned it in the comments in the chat. I've also shared it several times. So when you go to, I'm going to just really quickly share the screen. And we're going to see me and you live on the screen. So this is the link that I've put in the chat, and it says to get your first bottle for only $5. So you're going to click that. Now, you want to click this one here. It is an auto ship. The whole point of this is to get you to use this on a regular basis so that you can see the difference in your body, okay, to see the difference in your health. The whole family can use this. Can pets use? Can you use it for pets? I mean, I don't know if could you
absolutely. And I don't know if you could hear a few minutes ago, but the cats and the dog are all making noise here, and they get it every day. And some of our most thoughtful and heartwarming testimonials come from pet owners, and so we love it. And so we give our pets, and have for as long as they've been alive, the zeolite. So yeah,
that's fantastic. Right. So you could just spray it on there. You don't pour it in because it's too much to pour into water, right? So you're just going to spray it onto their tongues. Okay. Yeah. And so you're going to click this one for the monthly subscription. Now, if you do this, if you do the $5 offer in this next week from the link that I share, guys, what I'm going to get all for all of you, or what I'm going to offer you all is the chance to win. I'm going to get all your names for the people who order it for $5, and you will go in the draw to win something that I've bought for you guys. This is my own thing. Okay, so I've got a box of Touchstone Essential products, and I'm going to send it to you with a note from me. And this is just from me. Okay. I didn't get these guys. I didn't get the company to do this. So you will go in the draw to win some more products from Touchstone. Okay. I think this is probably worth about 150 US, maybe the whole lot that I've got here.
Very generous.
More. Yeah. So we've got the super green juice powder. I love this product. So what Touchstone have other products. I've got another link if you want to go and look at the rest of the website. Basically what your philosophy is, I mean, you're trying to improve everybody's health, okay? And you're trying to alleviate the world's we're being bombarded. Everything's been weaponized against us. And we're basically trying to get you through this without having to use, manufactured pharmaceuticals, all of these things. We want to try and keep as healthy as possible. This super green juice, now I sent this to a friend of mine who's in the chat. For her daughter uses it every day. They love this product. And this has got so much, I have to say, out of all the greens powders I've ever used in my life, this is the best tasting one. There is no bitterness. There is something about it that sort of just complements any fruit and anything that you put with it. Sometimes I just have it on its own, and I just have it with some water and I blend it up. So I'm going to send you that. I will send you another box of the Pure Body Extra to have on hand. I'm going to send you also the Pure Body. Now, this is for the gut and body detox. This is the natural liquid zeolite. It's a thicker version, and I believe it works more in the gut, correct? Is that this particular one?
So the size, the sizing is important, right? So that sizing is large enough at about 5 microns in size, 0.5 microns in size, that the majority is going to stay in the gut. Smaller than that, it would migrate out. And that's because your gut does so much work to help you manage toxins and bad things that people eat, right? Particularly if they eat a lot of ultra processed foods. And so it's a gut aid, and it will help complement the growing of good flora. Tends to make a bad environment for bad flora, a lot of the yeast and other things. And so it's not unusual for somebody to talk about alleviation from some problems with parasites and the like. And so it's really as there for gut support and It's great, very complementary. They don't work against each other. There's a true synergy between them.
Fantastic. So guys, if you get the $5 special for this type of zeolite, I'm going to give you the box. Well, I'm not going to give it to all of you. You're going to go into the draw to win this box of products, and I will send it to you personally, and send a little note for you from me. And I might put some little extra things in there as well. Somebody asked if they can spray it on their food because their child may not let them spray it in their mouth. I'll tell you, my daughter doesn't take anything. She takes this because it's kind of fun, and you just squirt it in like that. I don't know how old your child is, Molly, but it just tastes like water. It really does. So
It wouldn't be a problem for it to be on the food if you knew all the food was consumed. That's the only thing I say to people, right? I would never, I would try to avoid putting it somewhere where you just don't think it's going to get in your body. It's a hardened mineral, even though you can't see it. And so it doesn't matter with food, without food. It just matters that it gets in your body, however you really need to make that happen, right? So if I were going to do that, I'd probably put a little bit in like a tablespoon and maybe some applesauce or something, just to assure yourself that it's getting into the child's body.
Okay. So let's see if there's any other. Does the pure body extra, I think, help for memory? My mother's memory's gone really bad since she had the GBJ. Okay, so since she had the inoculations, some people have noticed some side effects from some of the ingredients in those things. So will it help with have you had that as a feedback regarding memory?
So the way we would say that is we've had plenty of people that as they begin to detoxify, notice their memory gets better. And that's the sequence. It's not that the zeolite is somehow improving their memory, particularly if they're dealing with a disease-based memory issue. It's that as they detoxify and their own body's ability is freed up to do its thing and maybe repair tissue or whatever happens to be, they see improvement. And so we do get those comments, but I'm careful to understand that's because the body's working better.
So basically, if everyone can understand this premise, basically your body is a self-cleaning oven. It is a machine that knows how to do it's a brilliant miracle. Okay. And it knows how to keep itself maintained. It knows how to keep the diseases away. It knows how to do all of those things. But because of the modern world, because we are in a very unnatural way of living, we're not in the way man was meant to live. Okay. And what these products are doing is it's assisting in removing that gunk that is clouding your detoxification pathways in your body. And once that's removed, the body's allowed to do what it's meant to do. And that's what the products on the Touchstone Essentials website are sort of aiding you in. Okay. So you've got things like nutrition. So you've got the greens powder, you've got things that are going to help support nutrition and help support those sorts of, so that you have better energy, so that you have better improvement and function. And then you've got detoxification products that will help to remove the gunk that impairs your body's natural ability to do things. That's the thing. This is why we can't just say, oh, it cures this, it cures that. It's not a cure. It's a detoxification product. Okay. But it is essential. And you guys that are in the chat, you've heard this being talked about many, many times before. It's been recommended by so many doctors that you've been following. The zeolite has been recommended by doctors that you've been following to talk about the modern world issues at the moment with the heavy metals. Many of us are having an increased load of heavy metals, on top of what we were already born with, because a lot of us, get heavy metal toxicity from birth, So this is going to assist with that. And, we've just have a look at some of the testimonials. And if you do have a testimonial and you've used this product, I'd love to hear from you. Many people, I've got some people that said, I've already got it. I've already get it on auto ship. I love the product. I use it all the time. They will see the difference in their body's ability to function. So can you talk about really quickly, Eddie, about weight loss and how would this aid fat loss? Some people don't realize that in their fat cells, among with all the cakes and things that you ate, there is toxins in there. That's the whole purpose of fat, correct?
Yeah, that's right. And so what people don't think much about, and why would they, is how the body will sequester in fat, so that, because when a lot of man-made toxins and or ingredients that people consume, right, synthetic based food ingredients and the like, the body just doesn't know how to manage it. Right, your mouth marks things with native enzymes for the type of ways to digest it and otherwise. And when you're eating things that just cannot be recognized, the body's got to manage that. And the way it manages is it tries to stuff it away somewhere. So you'll often see people that are accumulating fat that the body just won't burn because it doesn't want to free those things up. And the role that plays in weight and in really weight management, it's just really begun to be studied, right? There's some research on using extremely cryo and cold therapies to increase your adiponectin, which is a hormone that aids in weight control, to kind of try to burn through that stuff that won't burn. What we're talking about here is a nano-sized particle that will go into those cells and help to start alleviate some of that body burden, so the body can do what it wants to, right? Instead of trying to protect that fat, right? And so it's just fascinating, kind of on my wish list of life about health, is that there would be some time spent in, when an industrial manufacturer is trying to introduce new chemicals to us, at least we have some study to know, okay, this is what it's going to do, right? But right now we've just got this situation where it's just an overwhelming amount that we're exposed to, and so the body's doing the best that it can. And it's going to be stuffing it in fat and other tissues in the body just to protect itself. And so you start to limit that, eat cleaner, try to help it out with lifestyle. You're going to find that your weight is easier to maintain at a healthy level.
Yeah. Somebody said also fasting, fasting helps. Well, fasting does help. Absolutely does help with many things, and this is going to aid that. Can you take the Pure Body Extra alongside supplements or medication?
Yeah, there's again, and they would see it on the website. There's just no contraindications that we know of. Now, having said that, I'm mindful of the fact there are some heavy metals based cancer treatments that people may be utilizing. They would want to talk to their physician. I mean, the reality for me is that if you're getting some kind of serious medical treatment, just talk to your physician. Just talk to them about what you're doing, lifestyle choices and things of that kind. That's just smart to do, right? They should have a broad array of understanding. But so cisplatinum for prostate cancer, I don't know that there's a direct reason not to use Zeolite, but if for whatever reason I found myself in a situation where that's what I was doing, I wouldn't use it. I think I'd be looking for other means to treat my issues. But, that's just one of those few places that I'd probably say, boy, maybe I hold off,
Yeah. Okay. I understand. There was a question that I wanted to ask, and now I've lost it. Somebody said, now, what does does it only help eliminate heavy metals? Are there other things that can it assist with, or even the other Pure Body, the one for the gut? Somebody asked about mold in the lungs, for example, or candida. Can we, is there anything that you can tell us about the Pure Body that might help? What else does it help with?
Well, we know
this one's the special, guys.
Yeah, so we know relative to candida and other flora, bad flora, right, that would flourish in your bowel, because it's not just yeast-based dynamics there. We know that one of the ways you can manage that is to make your bowel inhospitable, an inhospitable host, right, by introducing an alkaline environment and the promotion of the growth of good flora to sort of overshadow what's going on there. So it isn't that directly that zeolite is going to press down or, basically cause the candida to die off. It's going to be what your body does when you've introduced something that helps to alkalize it and get rid of these heavy metals that are literally making you acidic by the virtue of how they react in the body. And so it's the cause and effect is important to understand. With mold, it's really very similar, but much more tricky. How mold works in the body can be quite unique to an individual person's biochemistry. And mold is so many different categories. right? And so I do tell people that if they have a mold issue, they've had a toxic exposure for whatever reason, don't just rely on natural detoxifications and cleanse. They need to seek out a professional, because mold can be particularly damaging to the body. And it's one of those things that it creates damage in such a way that it can't always be undone, even if you get rid of the mold. And so I tell people, don't mess around. Don't spend too much time on Google for home remedies. Find somebody that's got real experience and proper reviews and proper credentials, and so that you can get the right kind of blood work to understand what you're faced with. It may be that natural solutions is completely the answer, but mold is one of those things that really concerns me. And I tell people, don't just rely on this to it'll be supportive, but I would never tell people to just rely on this.
Yeah, I that's very important there, guys. You can't just discredit everything with the medical system, because sometimes there are things that are so potent, and that they need real professional help with. So
molds can be so dangerous, particularly in your lung tissues.
Black mold. Yeah, exactly. So did you hear that? To the person who asked, please go and seek medical advice. We can't just say that the natural product's going to do that. The other thing, did you guys hear that the heavy metals create an acidic environment in your body? Okay, the heavy metals in your body create acidic environments in the gut. Is that right? In the gut. And so we know that acidic systems can create or allow other diseases to flourish, and that's why we need to deal with it. Do you know much about people talk about biofilm in the body? I don't know if it's a real phenomenon. I don't know if it's just a name for something else, but people say that in the gut, sometimes there's this sort of sludgy slime thing going on that's sort of stuck to the gut wall, the gut lining, and in it, a lot of the time, that's where all the heavy metals are and stuck. So obviously, the zeolite in this form, in the nano spray, will enter and penetrate these different parts of throughout the whole body, correct?
Yeah, and biofilm is, in general terms, is kind of loosely used. And so it's not always easy for me to know what somebody is describing when they talk about biofilm. For example, parasites, and then you could even argue cancer, create a biofilm so that your immune system won't notice. Right? This is one of those ways, like a cancer really has a parasitic quality to it. Not that it's a parasite, but it has that quality because it will disguise itself so that your immune system doesn't know it's there, and it begins to utilize your resources, your oxygen and your nutrients to grow itself, right? When they talk about therapies where they introduce, let's say, a part of the polio, to say a cancer tumor, that's because it causes the biofilm to break down, and the immune system will recognize the polio and attack it, right? It's not the polio that would give you polio, right? So it's a very sophisticated way that they're addressing cancer treatments today. That's actually, as far as I'm concerned, a much more therapeutic approach than just these harsh chemicals and radiations, which can play a role, but this is very, very promising. So biofilms can also be because you're eating a chronically acidic, ultra-processed food diet, and your body almost creates this to protect itself, or it's almost like a callus of chemicals that are developing so the body can kind of try to manage your leaky gut or whatever it has to be. Now, you don't want to be in this situation. So this is a reason why fiber content in food, which is missing from ultra-processed food. And just, JC, just consider this. I mean, it's estimated that in the developed parts of the world, so places like the US and Canada and Australia and, Europe, 95% of the calories people are consuming come from ultra-processed foods, which are devoid of those native nutrients and fibers and things. And so their guts are just trying to make things work. And so they become acidic and they're just trying to survive. And so the biofilm, almost like a parasite, emits that. It's really doing the same thing. And so clean your diet up and get some fiber in it, right? And then think about detox and lifestyle. That should erode over time because it can be just, frankly, a histamine reaction to the food people are eating.
Wow. So it's like it's a mucoid plaque. That's what I wanted to call it.
Yeah.
It's like it's a plaque. It's like a slime that your body will create. Basically, your body doesn't do anything other than try to maintain homeostasis. Okay. It's just basically
Yeah.
trying to maintain balance, and it will do things not to attack you, but to protect you. But in that, there's a reason behind all of that. Gigi in the chat, she says that the super greens and the zeolite is so good for teenagers too. It's helped my girl so much. So her daughter's had some health issues, and this is the products that from Touchstone Essentials that she's used, and she's getting so much benefit. She's really improving.
That's awesome.
So I'm going to, if you use the link that I've shared in the chat, $5 if you do auto ship. Is it for what, first time customers only? I think
Yeah,
that's
so the
one of the
$5
terms.
offer is just for first time people that have never purchased from us before. And you pointed out, really the offer then becomes the gateway to the next best price, which is $63.83. If someone just decides not to continue, no problem. It's both an empty bottle guarantee and a no reason cancellation. You just chat us up, call, email, and say, I don't want it. And no one surveys you. It's just, okay, thank you. Right. So we try to make it easy because we know at the end of the day, people are going to find value in the product, and we'll get our customers.
Guys, I purchase from Touchstone Essentials myself. Okay, they're not just giving me things. I purchase stuff from my own thing, and I have had an auto ship account, and then some months I've gone, no, I've got a bit too much product, I cancel it, then I start again, and you can do that, and it's just easy. It's easy. It's not difficult at all. They're not a product that they're not a company that's going to try to convince you to stay or go or whatever. So please take advantage of this $5 offer if you've never tried their products before or you never signed up. I think that if it's someone else in your household, maybe with a different thing, they can use it in their account. They can create a different account. I think if somebody else is purchasing with a different payment method and different account, then the system will recognize it as a separate account. So I'm going to give away to one of the people who sign up for the $5 offer. Okay. So I've got a record. I can see who's getting the $5 thing. And out of all those names, I'm going to do a draw at the end of the 1 week, and I will pull out a name, and I'm going to give that lucky person extra products from Touchstone, which is the Super Greens powder, an extra bottle of the Pure Body Extra, which is the $5 one that you're going to get on the auto ship for the first month. And I'm also going to add the Natural Liquid Zeolite Pure Body, which is a thicker sort of mixture that you take with a dropper, which I'm going to also include, and that's for your gut health and help with the healthy flora in your system. So is there any other questions? I think there was. Let's have a look. Somebody said you're very knowledgeable and easy to listen to. That's lovely.
Very sweet. Thank you.
And somebody said, I think you should detox and do an intestinal cleanse before doing super greens. I'm not sure about that. I think as long as you're drinking lots of water and you're cleaning up your diet and removing the processed food, you are going to detox anyway. Add the zeolite.
The greens will have that quality.
The greens have that quality.
Yeah, they're very complementary to your body and how it does that.
It's a prebiotic. There's a prebiotic and is there probiotics in this or just
so there's probiotics in it was pre and pro. And the nice thing is there's both spore former and non-spore former. So their ability to sort of survive the heat and the pH of the guts, they actually get to the intestines and can flourish, right? That's why a good probiotic works, right? Is that combination.
Wow, yeah. So let's have a look. If there's any other questions in the chat. I don't think there is. We've been going for about 50 minutes, which is great. If you guys don't have any other questions, we would like to thank Eddie. Thank you so much. Please, guys, I'm going to add the link one more time. And if you're watching this after the live, Please look in the description below for the link for this $5 offer. It's only until the end of so it's going to go for another 6 days, I think. I started it last night. It would have been active around midnight. So it's been going for about less than a day now so far. So you've got about 6 more days to take advantage of the offer. I'll show really quickly before you go, Eddie. Just going to show the link. Here's the link. So you're going to pick the $5 monthly subscription. You can cancel at any time once you take the offer up. You'll go in the draw from me. If you do sign up on this, if you're my customer and use my link. After that, if you're only doing it for the first time, you will get it at the normal retail price for a 30-day supply. But the good thing about doing it with the monthly subscription, thereafter, you can get it at a reduced rate of $63.83, okay, per bottle. There is also
the free shipping to Australia for sure, and most of these countries continues.
Free shipping to Australia. Look at that. Free shipping in the US, UK, Canada, Mexico, Australia, New Zealand, and over 20 European countries. And I want to say to everybody, even though Touchstone Essentials is a US company, me in Australia, when I order, I mean, it comes within 4 days. Okay. So you need to understand that there is other distributors. Isn't that correct? You've got that's why it gets to you quickly. It's not going to take 2-3 weeks for your order. You can change your order at any time. There is a customer service chat and line. You can see here down the bottom, there's a chat here. There's also a number. Just look for I think it's the FAQs. There's another link that I've got, which I'm going to share in the chat, which is my link that you can go to and find all the other products I was talking about.
Remember, this link does not go to the $5 offer, so they got to make sure it's a separate, non-visible link.
Yep. Don't use this link for the $5 offer. The $5 offer is a specific link I've shared in the chat several times and in this video. But my other normal link, you will be able to find all the other products. Now, good news to the people in Australia. We seem to be able to get the CBD oil shipped to us now, and there's not a problem. Okay. But if you're in Canada, unfortunately, it's not going through. So, but other countries, just check your country to see if that can be ordered. But yes, they do have the CBD oil and many, many, many other beautiful products. And I have used them myself. I don't recommend anything unless I've used it myself. So please take advantage of this offer. And I will also put you in the draw for other for a chance to win more products from Touchstone Essentials. No other questions. Great. Thank you so much, Eddie. Thanks for joining me.
Tracy. Yeah, lovely. Thank you for getting up early, and happy to do it. And good luck to everybody.
Okay. Good luck, everyone. I'll see you later. Bye-bye.